Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
And we'd like to make very welcome now with the Shoreline Film Review, Peter Edwards. Good morning. Lovely to see you, Peter.
Good morning, John. Nice to see you too.
We didn't shake hands this morning. We didn't even shoulder bump. So I feel it. There we are. We do a virtual bump.
2 metres apart.
We are 2 metres apart. Yes, we are here in the studio here at Beach FM in these strange days. We really need our diversions. Have you got one for us today?
Sort of.
Ooh.
Sort of.
He says diffidently.
Yes. The film I went to see is All at Sea.
Okay.
Now, All at Sea is, it's an odd mixture actually. It's an Anglo-Norwegian production.
Really?
Listed as a comedy drama, directed by a guy called Robert Young. But I've never heard of so many of these directors, and this is just another one. I don't know anything about him. Now, I'm sure, John, you'll remember another film that was reviewed in November by Jan called Fisherman's Friends.
Oh, yes, too right.
That was a hugely entertaining film.
Yes.
And All at Sea is supposedly cut from the same cloth. In fact, the advertising on the film suggests that this is a film that is for audiences who loved Fisherman's Friends.
Oh, wow. I see.
Now, I too saw and I loved Fisherman's Friends, but I'm afraid the claim they make on that isn't exactly accurate. That said, I mean, the film is charming, it's amusing, has a wonderful cast. Brian Cox, Lauren Bacall, James Fox, to name but a few. And they make the most of a pretty average script, I'm afraid.
Did you say Lauren Bacall?
I'll come on to that in a moment. It's interesting.
Whoa.
Interesting you picked up on that, because I did too. When I was writing it up last night, I thought, oh, there's something not quite right here. Anyway,
okay, carry on.
The story is set on the west coast of Norway. Most of the supporting cast are Norwegians, speaking English, of course, but with a wide variety of accents, which comes across as very strange, because some of the humour is because they are speaking with their very best English, and there's English humour here. It doesn't quite work somehow. A lot of the humour is lost as a result of it being sort of spoken by Norwegians.
Right.
Now, Brian Cox, he plays Wally. He's a retired sailor, and he's a resident in a care home. How an English care home ends up in Norway escapes me, but for the sake of the film, we will carry on.
Well, there's a care home in India, I think.
That's right.
An excellent exotic hotel.
But Wally, bless him, he's something of a rebel now. He refuses to comply with all the rules of the care home. Like,
go, Wally, I'm with you.
That's right.
Too right.
Don't cook in your room and all this sort of thing. But the rules, of course, are just tried. The manageress is a bit of a tyrant. She's a real Jobsworth and really doesn't like Wally very much at all. He regularly absconds from his room. He gets out the window and he somehow manages to get back in again, even though people lock the window from the inside. But when he gets out from his room, he goes around the town doing what I would say his thing. Now, one of his things is smuggling and distribution of liquor, contraband liquor around the town, and he's all under the noses of the harbour master and the customs officials, and he's assisted in all of this by a rather motley crew of locals, great friends of his, and in truth he's very much one of the gang, if I can put it that way. Now, at the care home, he shared a room with a guy called Skipper. He was a fellow seaman and best mate for 40 years. Now, unfortunately, Skipper has died. Oh. And much of the story revolves around Wally's efforts to fulfil Skipper's wish to be buried at sea. Unfortunately, the care home manageress, the tyrant, has other ideas, and Wally is forced to intervene in her plan to bury Skipper in the local cemetery. And this planned funeral has to be put on hold when the officiating chaplain accidentally ends up in the bottom of the grave 6 feet down.
How close was Wally at the time? Was he observing the 2 metre separation?
He helped.
He helped, yes, encouraged.
Yeah, but anyway, back at the care home, we meet another resident, May, played by Lauren Bacall, and if you read the back of that sheet, it says in one of her last film roles, and this is where I'm going to digress a little bit. I'm thinking to myself, hang on, Lauren Bacall has been dead for a while, and when I actually checked, she died in 2014, which gives rise to the question, why are we only just now getting to see this film? Now, I did a bit of digging, a bit of research, and it reveals that the filming was completed in 2007 with limited release 5 years later. Now, so when I say limited release, it went to one or two of the film festivals, but it never went on a general release.
But they saw Fisherman's Friends, they thought, aha, here's an opportunity.
Well, I don't think the two were ever connected, to be honest, other than by the poster.
It as a springboard.
Well, could well be. Could well be. But anyway, there were a lot of delays, and the release, most of the delays were financial in origin. Oh. And also, one of the production companies went bankrupt. And there were difficulties with actors' unions, and we all know how that can sort of drag on. But eventually, a film did get to be released, and it was rescued from sinking without trace. And I'm glad it did, although I can't say I particularly enjoyed the film. Anyway, back to Lauren Bacall's May. She's playing a lady now, May. She's also Wally's friend. She lives in the care home as well. And together with a new resident, George, who's a retired colonel, played by Edward Fox, they all contrive to help Wally comply with Skipper's last wish, namely to be buried at sea. And so we embark on a series of amusing incidents with all three main protagonists assisted by their local friends. And one of the things, we see a local heroine, a Norwegian lass, breaking into the undertakers by crane, being lowered into a sort of a skylight in an attempt to steal Skipper's body from
Skipper
him.
would love this.
Oh, he would have done.
Yes.
Only to find that the body's already been removed and dispatched to the crematorium.
Oh, dear.
And at the crematorium, we find Wally. He flings himself on Skipper's coffin as it descends into the fiery furnace below. And what follows is a car chase a la Keystone Cops before the inevitable, predictable ending.
Right. Okay.
So it's a gentle film. It's got a lot of gentle British humour, but as I said earlier, a lot of it was lost with an indifferent screenplay and with a predominantly non-British cast. Yeah. It's pleasant viewing, not one of my favourites.
Diversion, would you say?
A diversion, yes. Right. I mean, its running time is about 1 hour 30. It's on pretty much twice a day for the next week or so.
And possibly with going just to see Lauren Bacall.
Well, indeed. That's right. One
bit of history.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Bless her. She was a wonderful actress
absolutely.
in her day, and she performs very well in this.
All at Sea, and it's on at the wonderful Shoreline Cinema. Peter, I thank you for joining us, sir.
You're very welcome, sir.
Thank you.
106.3 Beach FM.